Crap keyboards in
Warning, this video contains several swear words. I mean, it's only 6 fucks, a shit, some mild blasphemy, and I think there's a thundering arse trombone in there somewhere, but, you know, for the porcelain-eared among you, be waned. Hello and welcome to this review of my Lofree Edge keyboard. This was a donation from Lofree themselves. It's a bit of a departure from what I normally show on the channel, but that does help mix it up a bit. And this is a pretty interesting specimen, so let's take a look at it. Back in the day, I used to show off basically only old, giant, heavy as fuck keyboards, like this 4 kilo big-ass Model F battleship motherfucker. And this is the exact opposite of all those things, so it's a nice diversification. It's a small, low-profile keyboard where they went absolutely out of their way to save on weight, going so far as to make most of it out of carbon fiber and magnesium alloy, as if it were some sort of high-spec race car. I've never seen that before in a keyboard. Really cool. Even the switches, which I'll get to in a bit, are made out of carbon fiber, or at least the switch tops are. That's some dedication right there. I wonder how they even tooled that up. Now, carbon fiber is of course a famously light and strong material, as is magnesium alloy really, and so despite the weight, or lack thereof, it feels really tough, and the finish is really nice. It feels very professionally done. It flexes a fair bit, despite its small size and the stiffness of carbon fiber, but I don't feel like it's gonna fall apart anytime soon. I could be wrong, of course, but I'd say it's pretty well done considering the weight saving. I guess the point of all this is for the sake of portability, where you need both lightness and strength, and it certainly comes through in that regard, weighing in at only 473 grams, or 1/10 of a bucket of KFC for the imperially afflicted among you. The diminutive size also ports towards portability, at a condensed form factor of 84 keys, only 32 by 15.5 centimeters big. They specifically tote that it's only as tall as an Apple MacBook Air, and as the default setting is for macOS, that's probably whom it's aimed at, but that's only measuring the height of the pan roughly here or something, not the keycaps, or at the thickest part of the pan. In truth, it's about 16.5 millimeters tall, rather than the advertised 5.4, so it's a good 3 times taller than what they say it is. However, if you care about thickness that much, you may have bigger problems in your life. Suffice to say, it's as thin as a celebrity on a cocaine diet, basically. That's what matters. Personally, I don't travel with my keyboards, as I have neither a laptop nor a tablet, and with my enormous collection I can just pick good keyboards for use at home and at work. Plus, I don't use an Apple computer because I'm not a clown or a lunatic. Moreover, a normal keyboard for me starts at full size and preferably goes significantly beyond that, 189% form factor master race, so I guess it wasn't really designed for me, but with over 2,000 backers on Kickstarter and over 20 times its funding goal reached, I guess it is what other people have been waiting for. Now, I can definitely see the use case for this keyboard, even if it doesn't apply to me, and I think the execution is completely over the top, but that's what makes it interesting, right? Otherwise, it'd just be another boring space saver low pro, and I probably wouldn't even have done this review. Plus, it comes with a little stand made out of waste carbon fiber that you can use to put the keyboard on when not in use, so that it's not in the way. Nice! The switches, which are low-profile linears called Kailh POM Switch 2.0, are made by Kailh and feature thinner tops, housings, and slimmer profiles with a supposedly weight-reducing carbon fiber top shell as well. Apparently they shaved 9 grams off with this whole exercise. The dedication to weight loss is astounding. It's better than a liposuction clinic. This new design is also said to preserve smoothness. Now, maybe I've been spoiled with all those contactless keyboards, but I don't think it's that smooth really. There's quite a lot of noticeable friction, and they're a lot stiffer than I like my linears personally, so frankly, I don't think they're that great. The travel is only 2.4 millimeters, which is a baffling number. This really had my head spinning. I have no idea why anyone would go for this. See, if you're used to normal profile switches, you'll be accustomed to something like 3.5 to 4mm travel, and many low-profile switches try to squeeze as much travel as they can out of their designs. So Choc V2s and MX low profile both still manage 3.2mm, for example, which is not that far behind. You know, it feels different, but not utterly alien. Conversely, if you're somehow used to those horrible Apple aluminium scissor switches, you'll be used to what I measure to be around 1mm, and I think the butterfly switches are even less than that. So 2.4 feels like a really weird number, too short for anyone used to a normal keyboard, and too long for people who are used to those thin Apple boards that the users this is aimed at will probably be used to. Basically, I'm not really a fan of these switches at all. I mean, they're not as utterly horrifying as something diabolical like Cherry ML or whatever, although even Cherry ML manages 3mm, but I was pretty happy that I finished my week of testing so that I could go and use the new 8-bit Do keyboard. That said, that's not just because of the switches, but also because of some other things that I'm going to touch on next. They're not hot swappable either, and the case can't be opened unless you melt the glue and get to the hidden screws, so you're stuck with these switches. Resisting the urge to crack another joke at Apple users here. The keycaps are interchangeable, they're just low-profile MX mount caps, and that is a good thing because the caps might be even worse than the switches. Jesus camel fucking Christ on a bouncy castle, these might be the ugliest, most non-functional keycaps I've ever seen in my life. If this was 10 years ago, when all that cyberfont rubbish was still in, this might not have stuck out as much, though I think even back then nobody really liked it. But now that we finally recovered from this bullshit a few years ago, this seems more out of touch than ever. You know what? I take it back. Even 10 years ago, this would have been extreme. Look at this old Black Widow I just fished out of my cupboard. This is nothing compared to those Lofree caps, and this is a Razer product for fuck's sake. How can you design something even more tasteless and ugly than that? Fuck me with a toilet brush and a jar of mayonnaise. It's hideous! What were they thinking? The font is so blocky and so ugly that I can barely even read it. What the actual fuck? The thin lettering and low contrast colors don't help much either, and remember, you're seeing it now with 480 watts of studio light shining on it. Normally it's not even remotely as bright in this room as it is now, and all that on a keyboard with a very non-standard layout of all things, which is when you need clear legibility the most. What thundering arse trombone signed off on this? The backlight isn't much help either, as the legends are non-shine-through and the light is exceptionally weak to begin with. It's barely even visible. Here, let me show you what it looks like with the studio lights off. Yeah, that's not a joke. This is actually what it looks like, and this is it at its brightest setting as well. I mean, you may as well think it doesn't have any backlight at all, because this feels more like token backlight or something, you know, just to be able to say that it has it. Now, I don't mind that so much. Backlight isn't a priority for me at all, but shine-through legends and bright lights may have actually helped the keyboard in this case, because I couldn't read this thing if my life depended on it. By the way, the lighting is also monochrome white only, so no RGB for you. Now, one thing that kind of struck me as well is the price. Admittedly, the Kickstarter price is a whopping 40% off the MSRP, but still, it surprised me a bit. I sort of thought it would be $1 billion, but it's only $150, kind of SSK money. Overall, I really like some parts of this keyboard, and I really hate some others. Unfortunately, the things I didn't like are the sorts of things I tend to focus more on, such as typing feel and sound and functionality rather than portability, but it was still cool to take a look at this, considering what a unique keyboard this is. And of course everyone's priorities are different, which is why it managed to run such a successful Kickstarter regardless. Anyway, I guess that's it for this review. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and following is a typing demonstration of me typing on this keyboard.